To start, Jerry Conley, Representative Conley from Virginia, has a bill, H.R. 922. It's the Crimea Annexation Non-Recognition Act, and he's also the president of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. Purpose of this act is to basically say no federal agency in the U.S. government can say explicitly, implicitly, anything that would imply a recognition of Crimea, the annexation of Crimea by Russians. It's certainly, I support it, and I'd ask the committee members to support it, but I do want to use that as an intro to ask about Ukraine. The Russians see Crimea as an annexation. We don't. The eastern oblasts are still within Ukraine, and they're seen as separatists. Are we treating them differently, or approaching those two areas of Ukraine differently? And if so, how can we help you support those approaches?
Congressman, I would say the nature of the on-the-ground environment in both locations is different. In eastern Ukraine, you actually have a hot war right now. Within the past, since January, we've already had 30 Ukrainian service members killed in the east, whereas Crimea is an illegal occupation. And so there's some realities on the ground that are different. A lot of our train and equip efforts are directed at improving the capacity of Ukrainian armed forces to defend against the active war in the east. But in terms of overall policy, it absolutely is U.S. policy to reject this illegal annexation of Ukraine and to continue to impose sanctions on Russia as long as they hold this. In fact, there were just a number of additional sanctions imposed today on the Russian government to include the builders of the Kerch Strait Bridge, which you may be familiar with, for Russia's continued occupation of Crimea.
Yeah, General?
Congressman, it's a great question, and having had the opportunity to visit from Kyiv down to the Donbass area, just as you pointed out, the tone and tenor of soldiers in the vicinity of Kyiv 2 years ago was a little bit different as you got further towards the southeast. But it's been my observation for the last 2 years as a result of good work on behalf of the Multinational Joint Commission that attitude to support the whole of government approach on behalf of Ukraine is improving the farther you get to the southeast. So there's a changing environment as evidenced by the comments from President Zelensky as he continues to look west and talk about accessions to NATO.
Yeah, great. I want to make a pitch here. We cannot yet do CODELs. Our leadership and the DoD is not yet allowing that. Let me ask you this. Have you thought through how we could do COVID-19 socially distant appropriate CODELs to the UCOM region? And have you provided that advice yet to the Secretary so we can break that loose?
We will, Congressman, and we very much want the CODELs back, and we actually have a program of actionable milestones that talks about our proposal of when and where. We will get after that soonest.
That's excellent. We need to, I do know that parliamentarians, especially NATO parliamentarians, would like to see us again, if only to yell at us in person. But we'd like to return the favor sometimes as well. I'll just make a note and then yield that the Washington State National Guard now, I think, is headed to Western Ukraine or in Western Ukraine as part of the training mission, and it's another reason why it's important. I know other state and National Guards are in the Balkans, and just in terms of our presence, to send that message to Russia that we care about Europe as much as Russia cares about Europe is important. So I'll just leave it at that, and with that, yield back.